Hello, and thank you for joining me here on Sew Stitch Hex. Today I'm going to be talking about option paralysis, and this will probably be the umpteenth time I've done this video because I've hated all of them. Alright, so option paralysis is basically when you have so many options, you have too many options, and you can't make a choice. With option paralysis, this can be seen with people like me who want to own a book on everything and at least 3 on that topic. So it can be hard to pick a book to read. I can also see it when people are first coming into the craft or into a new topic and they don't know where to start. Like, do I start with divination and scrying? What do I pick? Do I pick cartomancy? Do I pick bibliomancy? Do I pick astrology? Do I go in a different direction and start to learn herbs? And do I look at Western or Eastern practices, which I always think you should go with what's in your area, and what you know, but anyway. The problem is, what do you do with option paralysis? When I see option paralysis, I see a lot of people having to unlearn what they knew. Because with option paralysis, of course, you want to read what's available, which can be anything. You want to read what's popular, or you want to read what your teacher and other mentors are reading, which can be really difficult if you want to broaden your horizons. You don't want to get stuck on one mindset and think the other ones are all wrong. Furthermore, you don't want to put yourself in a biased mindset generally. That's just the whole problem, is getting yourself a variety of sources. But how do you start? The way you get over option paralysis is just by picking one. With executive dysfunction, making a decision, one problem to do, to fix it, is the 5-to-1 game for couples and restaurants. Say one person picks 5, the other person picks 2, and from the 2, the one who picked the original 5 picks 1. So then you have those choices. With me, I take 10 books that I know I want to read and I put them in a stack. And then I can only pick books from that stack. Now, of course, I don't always follow this rule. Sometimes I get new books and I read those instead. But generally, you need to take your broad selection and narrow it down, and then pick from there. Option paralysis can lead to a couple other problems, because not only can it lead to biasness if you're not choosing varying ideas and you're only choosing one thought process, but on the other hand, it can also lead to very shallow understanding of subjects. If you're only reading one book on a topic and then moving on, you don't fully understand the scope of what you're learning. And in this way, you can be misinformed. You can miss out on so many other aspects of what you're learning and just kind of not get the full appreciation for what you're studying, which isn't really doing yourself any justice, nor is it doing the community any justice when you enter and try to talk about whatever your topic is in a respectful and educated manner. Now, whereas I do advocate for being highly educated in a topic, you can't always be like a baby. If you've read 15 books on the subject, you're not quite a child. You know something about it, and you should give yourself credit. But in the same way, we have all these different books telling us all these different things, all these different opinions, because if you're getting different opinions, you're doing something right. That means you're reading a variety, and that is good. You need to know that there's another opinion other than your own, other than your friend, other than your sister. There are different opinions. In this way, you can create imposter syndrome, because you'll be reading all these different things. You'll be like, but I don't do it this way. But who's right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I an imposter? You'll read books that are like, magic is useless, magic is not real. You'll read books that say magic is real, magic is the only thing. Magic is just science that we don't understand. But what do you believe? And although you have to come to those terms and to that decision yourself, you also have to think you are valid in your practice. No two people are going to have the same practice. No two people are going to think the same. No matter whether you and your entire family say you're all Christian Baptists. Not one of you will have the same image of God in your head. You may find an image that is similar or that you agree with, but you will not really picture God the same exact way. When you picture God in your mind, you will never imagine the same visual, the same voice, the same attitude. It'll all be different for everyone because God approaches everyone in different ways. Same thing with our studies. You can read the same passage as everyone else and get a completely different opinion from it. Maybe you read maybe you'll read a passage and from it you learn that liberty of like opinion and like artistic liberties, like it can be taken with anything, and someone else can read it and see that as if you take artistic liberties, it can be a danger because it can create this shift, it can create this rift in society. So two people can read the same article and get the same like idea, or completely opposite sides of the spectrum. It really just depends on their background and how they choose to interpret it. The same thing happens with your studies. So at option paralysis, you are surrounded by a variety of resources. And whereas you do need to inspect all of these resources in your own time, you shouldn't push yourself to think they all have to be done at the same time. Remember, one thing at a time, and start with something. If you can't pick, limit it down. Just start breaking it down. Pick one topic, or just separate 10 separate topics into a pile and then pick from there. Even if it's close your eyes and grab one. And from there, you can move forward. And know that no two people are going to have the same thoughts or opinions on that topic, and that's okay. You're not a fraud for reading something new. You're not a fraud for reading something different. You are an individual, and the way you interpret things will be as an individual. No matter what you study and no matter how you study it, it's valid. So I feel like option paralysis creating imposter syndrome through the very number of like things there are to study, it's scary, but it happens and no one should be afraid. You should just study what you can. On another note, if you're not studying, then how can you adequately practice your craft? So you do have to study something. And if you're only studying and not practicing your craft, call it what it is. You're just like an occultist or someone very interested in esoteric, but you're not necessarily a practitioner if you're not practicing. So option paralysis and our obsession with studying and increasing our knowledge and broadening our horizons can also lead us to disrespect our actual practice in the way that we don't give it the time it deserves and we don't actually practice. So remember to balance study and practice, and that can be a way that you can cut back on option paralysis, not only by picking a specific topic, but remembering to give time for both. If you do one every other day, or 1 week for one and one for the other, or I like to do certain practices on certain days and study on other days. So I don't do it every other day. I do it like 2 on, 1 on, 2 off. So I get some free time, because you also have to have free time or you'll get burnt out and you won't do anything. Alright, how do you encounter option paralysis? How does it affect you and your study? Do you have different ways that you cope with it? Do you adequately practice in between your studies? Alright, thank you for joining me here on Sew Stitch Hex, and I hope to see you next time.